What's up, guys? We're back in the saw shop today with the Stihl Magnum 038 chainsaw. I've been eyeing this thing up and it's just been a little crazy. Finally got the chance to get this thing up on the bench. The only thing that I've done to this so far was go over the starter clutch. It was sounding awful, and we pulled it all apart, lubed it up. He's got some issues, I think, going on with the carb. That's why he dropped it off. He's happened to give it a little sniff to get it going, and he said once it gets going, it runs good. So I'm like, So let's hope it's just a little carb issue. We're going to bring you guys back here. I'm going to start tearing into this awesome vintage saw. This is a 72cc saw. It is a pro saw. I think its predecessor was an 039, and it did have a clamshell design. A little bit smaller engine, so this saw is pretty badass, guys. It's the Pro Saw version. I'm kind of excited to get this thing going. Maybe I can even make a separate video of like stacking like the old Husky 372 XP up against this thing on a few cuts before he gets it back. We'll see, guys. But we're going to bring you back here and take a look at this old girl. It's supposed to be rated at almost 5 horsepower, 4.8 horsepower. That's pretty awesome, guys. That's putting out some power. So I'm trying to think. Other than that, everything's stock on this thing. It's got a little muffler mod done to it, opened up a little bit. Nothing real fancy there. It would be real awesome to get my dyno back out and just see what this thing would put down on it. And that's coming soon, guys. I want to pull that thing back out. I just made some more space in here and got rid of a few things. So now it's like I can start getting ready to get that back into operation, especially in the off seasons when I like to get that thing out. So yeah, so 72 cc's, guys, 4.8 horsepower, vintage Stihl 038. Let's bring you back and take a look. All right, guys, so I'm gonna shoot some gas in this first thing and see what happens. You see how it runs. Doesn't take a whole lot, guys. I'm not big on ether or starting fluid, so we'll see what this does. Crank it over a few times and just see what I can get it to do, guys. All right, ladies and gents, we'll see if we get anything here. I might have to shoot it again. I did have to fool around a little bit here. We are grounded out on the ignition, so that would be off. That should be run. Man, this thing thumps. Yeah, popped right off. Didn't stay running though. I better check his gas tank. Oh, jeez. Alright. Bogging out right away. Let's just shoot a little fuel in this thing, guys. Full tank of gas now. Was a little low. So we'll see what happens here. Starter clutch is working way better now that I disassembled it. It was sounded like it was gonna blow apart and screeching. So yeah, I think we got carb issues. I would generally just go right to the carb, but I want you all to see kind of how the process goes at times. So I'll give it one more little shot. I'm just curious to see if it does run like he said on a shot of fuel. So try number 2. Another shot into the cylinder. Don't gotta go crazy, guys. Just a little shot. Popping right off. Yeah, it's only running off of what fuel I put in the cylinder, I can tell. So he's definitely got some issues here. Let's try full throttle again. It's really hard on high compression like this. Yep. Alright, enough fooling around, guys. Start tearing into this Stihl. I'm a Husky fan, guys. I know I could start a big old debate, but I work on them. So I can say from my experience of working on Stihl and working on a Husqvarna, I'll take a Husky any day. Yeah. So like I say, I'm not trying to start any debate. we'll get this carb pulled off of here. His fuel lines are feeling pretty good, guys. They're nice and spongy. I'm gonna say this carb's probably packed full. I'm trying to remember what his air filter looked like. A lot of times guys will get stuff into me, and I just had a trimmer in the other day and the filter was just packed full, and that's all it was a clogged filter. This one's obviously dirty, but I don't think it's dirty enough to hurt the way it should run. I'm trying to see how this linkage pops off. And problem one, I've never worked on one of these, and you guys are gonna see that. Always careful popping these fuel lines, guys. You can get a spray on the purge primer ball set up sometimes, so always use caution. That's odd, guys. So in here you can see there's like a little linkage piece here, and some saws are designed a little different, and all we got to do is probably pop this assembly apart, which I don't like, because some saws it's not that hard to pop this off and you got the carburetor off, but this is like a push in style, and there's nothing to come back on here, so it looks like we might have to take apart the throttle trigger assembly, which is a bummer. Looks like he's got a little bit of a leaky tank here too. Alright guys, I'm gonna do this live for you guys of tearing apart this trigger assembly. We'll see. I just will say, guys, from my experience, I've been into nightmares with these things, pulling them apart, and you gotta either break out the service manual online or sit there and take all this extra time trying to figure it out. I mean, once you do a few, they're all start to resemble each other in design, so you do find out tricks as you go. Here we go, guys. Be extra cautious here. I'm gonna zoom you guys in good. Maybe it'll help me if I gotta look back at the footage. So 2 ears up here. Oh, spring done popped off there. Alright. Yeah, again, there's a lot of saws you wouldn't have to do this, particularly Husqvarna. Some you do, but yeah, this is kind of like a pain in the ass, guys, but here's what it is. So I'm thinking, how can we pull this trigger back? If we go down, and it pulls everything forward here. So, oh, yep, we can pull this back. A little bit of extra work, but just going to be real gentle with that stuff. Turn you guys towards the carburetor here. Easy Neil. Alright. We get the carb removed, guys. Bing carburetor. That's new to me, guys. Like I say, I haven't worked on too much stuff this old. I have, but not too much. This puppy is vintage, but yet it appears to be in really good shape. I mean, killer compression. Nothing looks really worn out so far. Get you guys a shot of the carb here. I know sometimes I've been in on videos and it's like, man, would you just could have showed that a little closer. Anyway, so I try to help you all out in my experience too. And we have a shot of carb cleaner here with no straw. Yeah, I don't know if he's ever had this thing rebuilt or not. Watch your eyes, guys. Watch your eyes back there, guys. I always like to clean them off really well before I put them on the operating table, guys. Bing 48. That's new to me, guys. I am not familiarized with this style carburetor. Interesting. Even got the flat, straight screws. It's funny, I was just telling my boy the other day, you come across those, we alleviate them. We get rid of them. We put Phillips in. But on this case, I think we'll leave them. All right, let's start tearing this apart. All right, guys, this is how I tear apart every carb. I may have showed this in other videos. Just do my high and low. Sometimes they are the same, sometimes they are not. I like to separate them, that way there's no confusion on tearing a carb apart again from something stupid. So, and then I put how many turns I back them out, guys. Let's start opening this thing up. We're going to get right in this old girl. Alright, guys, kind of hard not to be in the light for you guys. Might change the view up. Pop that off here. And it already looks like this might be a little bit hardened. Needle is moving pretty decent. How's this feel, guys? Oh, actually not too bad. I seen a little wrinkle there. That's not bad. We might be able to reuse this, guys. We'll see how that goes. Thinking we can. I'd like to get that off. Because you do got an open hole here where debris can get in there. And that could impact that action on that. So we'll tear that apart. Guys, I will say right off the back, this is an interesting design. Yeah, so I like the design. I'm not complaining. Yeah, it's real interesting. So we're going to pop out these. There's a low and the high here, usually indicated on the carburetor. We're going to pop these out and go from there, guys. We'll start with the low side. And guys, we're going to count these, okay? We're going to go ahead and count these. Low side screw always helps to double check. This one appears to be a little bit smaller head on the low side. So we're going to count these. Half, 1, about 1 1/8, guys. 1 1/8 on the low screw. Don't over tighten them down. 1 1/8 on the low side. We'll go ahead. Let's double check that it's closed. Don't need to go real hard. Let's pull this apart, guys. Some carburetors will have those tiny O-rings in there. Be careful for those. There's a look at that low side fuel screw. I'm going to say that this is the reason it's not running, is this being clogged up. That circuitry there is probably clogged up in the carb. We shall see, guys. So we'll go ahead and count our high side. Half, 1, I'm going to go 1 turn, 1.1. That's how I'm going to remember that. Just a smudge over. Smudge over there, guys. So we'll go ahead and take high side out. There goes our spring. There's the high side fuel screw. Set that over there. Let's compare them. They look about the same, but you got to watch really closely because the taper can be different. There's little needles on the end could be different. Just as I show you guys, I mix them up. Let's pop these out. We'll see how she runs. Alright, guys. Somebody's been in here. I'm going to tell you how I know this. These style gaskets here, diaphragm, fuel pump, whatever you want to call it. When you see those brown looking ones, those are for ethanol. So if you see your carb kits that have the normal and then they have those color, those are for ethanol. That's how I know somebody's been in this carb. Any event, guys, things are looking pretty good. We just might have a clogged circuit there. You see them screens, they clog up a lot with sawdust. Stuff gets passed through the fuel tank, guys. That's why you got to be real cognizant of how you're putting your fuel in your machine, because there's little micro pieces of sawdust. They will get into the screen. A lot of times I'll spray that really good too. I could pop it out and clean it with a wire brush really good, and we might do that, probably will. But what I'm going to do here is shoot into my low side screw with some carb cleaner. Alright guys, so we're going to shoot into the low side screw. What we're going to do is open this venturi here, look in there. And on a lot of carburetors, they're designed this way. You're going to check and make sure that it's shooting fuel into this carb once you hit some spray in there. Sometimes you'll notice that it isn't spraying out there too well. Well, that's the reason why it isn't running, guys. Plain and simple. We'll go ahead and get into the low side, and we're just going to see what it does. So, it is looking a little clogged. It's just spraying out of one kind of not so good. And another thing I'll do is go hit this with an air compressor if I don't get good spray out of there. Open this up, pull your diaphragm, fuel pump side, everything out. You don't want to be spraying it with the carb together, guys, and just popping these out. You want to open everything up. Even taking this needle seat and stuff out. But somebody's been in this carb, and I guarantee you that's probably pretty good. And what we're going to do is just clean out the low and high circuits, make sure they're flowing good, clean the screen, and I bet this thing will run. A shot for you guys. Angle that whole venturi away from your eyeball. As you can see, that stream just shot right past the saw. Now it's streaming really well. I'm not 100% saying that that's it. Maybe this thing isn't even pulling fuel, guys. I want to bet that it is. Okay, now we're going to hit the fuel inlet. And as you can see, the fuel inlet is coming out of this hole right beside the screen, guys. I'm going to block up that. Spray back in here again on the high side. And as you can see, we got fuel coming out of here and here. That's what you want to see, guys. So one way to do this, you could pop the spring out and put something up against that hole, which would work a lot better. But we're not pulling this needle out of here. I don't think we need to. So if we open the needle, don't press too hard. You should just be getting a good flow through there. And when we close it up, you shouldn't be getting anything through there. And this, how high pressured this stuff is when you spray it in these little carbs, that should tell you, that should do the trick. So the inlet will tie into the high side from the first hole we seen here. You can even put it in this way. You should get it out the fuel inlet side. Good volume of flow. And then this circuitry right here in that cavity. We're going to hit up these ports right here. These are usually generally pretty good. I don't waste a lot on them as soon as I see them coming out like that. Save that stuff. It's expensive, guys. I can't help but want to tear this part apart here, because I've never seen nothing like this when it comes to a carb. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out, guys. Leave that screw in there. And then we can pull, I'm hoping, these two out safely. It's pretty neat. Looks like you can get into the circuitry there on the high and low side. That's why I'm very curious. It'd be silly to skip something that you could clean even better with a little bit better access. So we're gonna see what's up. Alright, baffle plate. And just like I suspected, I believe it's a little grungy in there, so we'll clean it out a little bit. Hit the lower side again, see, and then we'll hit the high side again. That's always pretty clear. I will say that there was a little bit of like micro debris and stuff in there. I could feel it with my fingertip. A reverse process, guys. We might have a running Stihl here. I'm going to check his filter. Someone's worked on this thing, so I'm willing to bet all that should have been done by the last person that was in this thing. Oh, guys, we jumped ahead there. So we'll see. Obviously, if it fires right up, it's probably been done. I done filled the tank up now, so that'll make it a little harder to see if the filter has been replaced or even on there. A lot of times guys don't realize that filter in the tank is just knocked off there, or just the fuel line's brittle, hardened up from the ethanol, and it knocks off, and then you're pulling all kinds of stuff into your carb and clogging them up very quickly. Alright, we got that tightened down, guys. Give it another little bump. Don't be a torque Nazi. Don't over tighten those down. Now we're going to try to get these. Whoops, wrong ones. Trying to get ahead of myself. Alright, put these back in. And again, no need to over tighten them like crazy, guys. That's how stuff gets buggered and botched up. Thought that one in a little too easy, guys. We had this spring jump off there, or I didn't even put it in, sorry. Those can be tedious sometimes. This carb's pretty easy. As I say that, yep, we love those moments. Those are the oh shit moments. Now as you acquire boatloads of carbs and stuff like that, you could, you know, get yourself out of a pinch, or have spare parts even. But if you're a guy just doing this every once in a while and you have one of those fly across the room, yeah, that's not fun. We all know that. Alright, guys. Action feels good there. Now, guys, you can pressure test these when you get them all together. I do have a pressure test kit. 9 times out of 10, I'm not doing that unless I got some gremlins floating around trying to haunt me with, you know, not being able to figure out why I can't get the machine running right. And then I'll revert to seeing if we have any carb leaks. And that's always a good thing to have in your arsenal. Alright, let's go ahead and put these fuel screws back in. Low side, closest to the engine, usually has the L right here. Bam, bam. We're going to go ahead and tighten her all the way down, and then we're going to go 1 1/8. Just seat it barely. Half, 1 1/8. And I don't mind even bumping it a little further on that idle circuit. Okay, we're going to do the high side. Use this. Seat this in all the way, guys. Seat it in. Half. One and a bump over. And guys, I'm going to give it an extra little bump. If it's running a little fat, I'd rather have that. That rhymed, guys. Oh man, let's make t-shirts that say that, huh? Oh, I'm silly, I know. Alright, let's get this diaphragm side on here. Fuel metering side, if I'm not mistaken. Dave, if you watch this video, my man, sorry it took so long to get you going. But we're getting there, bub. Alright guys, so we're going to slap this together here. That all feels really good. Like I say, this brownish style gasket here. Oh, let's clean that up. We almost skipped. Look at that. We got sawdust on that there. And then look at this, guys. That's a problem. Look at all that sawdust right here. Almost skipped that. So you got to take your time and not really get in a hurry, guys. It's just, you know, just going to cause you more problems. Yep, that was loaded with sawdust on the old vent side there. Just like I said on the other side of the carb, sawdust can get in there, and then it could affect the operation of the carb. So spray that out one more time. Hit some down in here. I get in a habit on these guys of just every port you can find. Now, there's little notch ports that lock it down. If you spray in them, be careful. It will shoot right back in your face if you get in the wrong holes. It's just a good habit when you first start working on these to just every port you can find. These are all channels that involve with making this thing run. So clear them all out exactly as I did. And let's see here, guys. Yep, I think it went that way. Did we get? Yep. Tab over here. That on that side. And it being the 3 screws, you really can't mess that up. Like to give them a good little snug just to make sure you don't have any substantial leaks, guys. You don't got to go crazy, but you also want them to be snugged up decently. That way you don't have any little leaks that are going to affect the operation of the carburetor, guys. Alright guys, now we have the carb to throw back on here. We got our high and low screw set. I think I'm going to pop the fuel line on here and start shoving this carb on. I think we want to put the carb on first. I'm doing this kind of live action for you guys. That fuel line up on there. Alright, here's where, if you see a break in the video, I had to go back in and cheat a little bit. But we're going to do it live for you guys. Maybe. Alright, so this looks like it goes right in this notch here. If anybody struggles with this, there's a little notch here for your spring right here. So that just seats right down in there. And then it easily, well, never say that. Jeez, what am I doing? Even thinking about saying that. I want to say that goes down like that. Or does that go on top? No, this would go on top, right guys? To push this down. Alright. So I believe you'd want to hook this up, and then we can hopefully, I know the lighting sucks, guys, I apologize. Hopefully maneuver this into, okay, not so bad still. Not a big fan still on how all that goes together, but if it's reliable and functional, we can't complain. I know that seats, these got two little teeth that seat up in here, and those that have tore these apart 100 times, they're gonna laugh. Once you do them a couple times, then you're an expert, right? Okay, so you got to make sure the trigger's pulled forward a little bit. This seats flat into that trigger assembly piece, and then that spring stays under this clip here. I think you seat this in, and I believe we're going to be skating somewhere now, guys. Maybe. Woo! That put you right up in there. All right, guys. Looks like everything's functioning there. I'm going to start my bolts here so that carb don't slide off if I'm tipping this thing around. Hopefully you guys can see. Then we're going to sneak this screw up in there. I wonder if this thing's going to run, guys. Alright, so this is a pretty substantial place we're at now as well with tightening. I'll say this. I've been guilty of over-tightening these carbs to these rubber boots because I don't want air leaks, right? Well, there's a fine line between tighten and too tight to where you can damage those flanges. So I've been in that boat before. So it's just metal against rubber, and it's got to be snug enough to press and seal, guys. Just keep that in mind. Think how things work, how things seal. You know, it's not a flat metal on metal, or so tighten them, but you don't want to go crazy, guys. I think we're ready to try this thing. Now, obviously, we can't choke it. Well, we can. You know. Yeah, I guess we could put everything back together. Clean that carb a little bit right in here, and then I'll take it to the shop. And we'll see if this thing fires up, guys. All right, this is important for starts, guys. So, this is your choke device here. Pretty simple process. I cleaned this all up here real quick. I'm going to get some paper towels out and try and dry it off a little bit, because that is definitely probably going to affect the way it runs with it being wet still. But yeah, so there's just this mechanism here is what turns on. Sorry guys, can't even see that. So yeah, this mechanism here is what turns on the choke, guys. So we'll clean this air filter a little more and trying to get this thing on here and see if we can't get this thing fired up. Alright, let's put this air filter on here. I just straight up cleaned it with Carb Clean. Y'all at me if you want. That's how I spray these style filters off. I usually use that and some paper towels and hit it with the compressor, and it does a pretty good job at cleaning these. Obviously the screwdriver is not the right size, but it will work for what we're doing. So I'm trying to see if we got an issue with the choke mechanism here. Okay, so if you can see it, this little lever here, when you hit here, is what flips on the choke for this machine. Alright guys, just to let you know, I am refilming everything. I put some tape on here, some electrical tape to act as a choking, because a choking of the carb, because this function here is having a problem, I believe. Even right there, it's just really hard to push. I feel like it should be easier than that. And this lever and everything appears to be working right when you set the choke on. So I'm going with it needing a new air filter. So we're gonna get one of these in and hope that does the trick. But again, putting electrical tape on here, all the footage was ruined because my external mic, it died. Sorry about that, guys. But we'll go out here and fire it up and see how it runs now, guys. It's still a little rich. Still got to get a bar on it before you do the final tune for sure, guys. But this is just to get a general getting it running. But I think he's going to be good. We got an NGK coming for him. The NGK BPMR7A is what we're going to put in this, and we're going to look them up a filter, guys. Let's go out here and run this thing. My trusty tuner screwdriver, just in case it's still not right, since I did tweak with the carb a little bit here, guys. Let's see what she does here. Again, you don't want to fine tune them without the bar. Get the bar on there, guys. This thing, it's a good little runner. We're gonna let it run a little bit. Make sure the carburetor doesn't load up, meaning it'll be still rich. So I like to let them idle. You want them idling all day, guys. I like my idles a little bit higher too, so I'm gonna bump it up just a little bit more. Yeah, guys, I can tell it's loading up. By the sound, see, there it shut off, guys. So I'm not even gonna adjust that while running. I'm just gonna do it before all this vibrations against my favor, and we're just gonna close it just a little bit, just a smudge. Alright guys, looks like we're going to get him an NGK plug in this thing and a new air filter, and he will be good to go. Hopefully we can get this thing barred up and maybe run it against the 372 for a few cuts. We'll see. Maybe we'll come out with a video with that. But I'm going to go back here on my phone, order these parts up for him. I hope you enjoyed the content, guys, and me cleaning this carb on this Stihl 038. This thing, I can't wait to get it in some wood here. It's a pretty impressive saw, 72 cc's, guys, 4.8 horsepower. It seems like it's going to be a beast of a saw. We'll see, guys. But thanks for watching Digging Deep. If you're new to the channel, help the channel out. A small percentage of my viewers are subscribed to the channel. It would greatly help out if you just get down there, smash the subscribe button, comment in the comments, tell me what you think about the video, guys, and give us a like, and we'll catch you next time.